Hello and welcome to the Blue Shadow Podcast. My name is Joey.
My name is Dan, and welcome to. Sorry, Joey, I took your thunder here,
Oh,
but
that's okay.
I was the Andor lover from the beginning, and I think it's only right that I lead the series, end of series thoughts and discussion.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
fair.
if you haven't yet, all of our Andor season two discussions are out on the podcast platform of your choice. So, feel free to give any of them a listen. But I'm just going to jump right into this. We're going to start with some basic questions. Joey, did you like season one or season two better?
Season two, night and day.
Yeah.
Would you feel I'm going to ask you that same question in return. What do you think?
I mean, yeah. But on the follow up to that, would you have preferred it in the way we got it, or would you prefer the 5 seasons? Because I know you and I were both skeptical leading up to this. We're like, how would they be able to do it? We're not sure this is going to work out well,
Okay,
but
so
I think it worked out very well.
here's I think it worked out as well as it could in the format. I would have loved to see more, but I think given how hesitant they've been with greenlighting new shows for Disney Plus or continuing existing shows, I
Hmm.
don't know that we would have got 5 seasons.
Right?
I think this is I think everything happens for a reason, and this happened in this way so that Andor could be told in its complete entirety, hitting all of the high notes. Maybe we miss some
Hmm.
downtime, another card game with K2SO Melshi and Cassian, or Bix maybe getting the short end of the stick this season. But I think they crammed so much over such a wide span of time, and I think they used each of the years very effectively.
I agree, and I think it only being 12 episodes meant there's very little room for the F word.
Filler. And only, quote, quote, only 12 episodes is crazy because this is 4 episodes more than most Disney Plus Star Wars shows.
Yeah, and we got 4 movies pretty much.
I would say very much so.
Would you, if they were to piece all 3 episodes together for each arc, would you prefer to watch it that way, like a movie, or did you like the individual episodes?
I wish that it was released 1 episode a week.
Fair
Like
enough.
I would have preferred traditional TV model, 1 episode a week. Build me up to the Gorman massacre, to Mon Mothma's speech,
Hmm.
to the Clea. Like I don't know. Like I'm very old school in that way where I would prefer the weekly model. This was a
Yeah.
nice, and I understand why they did this. I understand why people might prefer this, but for me, I
Hmm.
would prefer the week to week.
To know.
How about you?
So when we write our Star Wars show, we can write it in the week to week.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Um,
so.
I
But
I
oh,
liked it.
sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I liked this a lot more than I thought I would. The 3 arcs.
You were very concerned at the beginning.
I wasn't sure how they'd be able to do it, and would they get the whole story across? And boy, was I glad to
It
see my fears disappear.
it connect while time passed, it felt very much connected. Like you could tell
It was
time had passed, you could tell things were different, but nothing resolved that needed to see off screen.
it was a very linear story.
Yes. And it can kind of be split into two phases, like the Gorman stuff that's essentially newish for Rogue One, or sorry,
Hmm.
newish for Andor, and then teeing up Rogue One
And Rebels,
and
which
Rebels.
as the Rebels lover, have you gone back and rewatched any of the Rebels episodes
I have
that coincide
watched
with this?
the pieces of the Mon. I haven't watched the whole episode, but I watched pieces of the Secret Cargo, the Mon Mothma Rebels episode. Very,
Hmm.
very good. Very much fits so well. And Erskine's there. They managed to cast an actor that looked like the animated model, which was crazy.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was darn good. Another thing I wanted to say is, I think this show did a pretty good job, better than most Disney Plus Star Wars shows, of giving us complete episodes. Each episode is generally a complete story. I think the best episode of this is the Clea episode or the Mothma Senate Escape episode.
Hmm.
Ironically, back to back. But I think those were excellent episodes of TV that fit within a larger arc.
Yes,
Know what I mean?
I agree. I'd agree with that.
And I
And
think
especially
that's what we need.
right. And I feel like the way they did this, we got four season finales in one season,
Yes, very much so.
and they felt like a season finale watching it. Like this is what I would expect from a season finale.
In
The
each of
Mothma
the
escape. Yeah, in
each
each
of
of the
the
arcs.
arcs. And they managed to still give you that Andor slow burny feel to build up
Hmm.
to the main event. But at the same time, they're like, you know, taking their time and
Yeah.
getting you also to the end. I don't know. It was very good.
Oh, so
What
good.
other questions do you have?
Have any of the views of your character changed from season one? Like I know season one, you still were calling it Andor minus the Ferrix Road.
That was a little harsh. I definitely think that season one did not use its time as effectively as season two.
Hmm.
But
That's.
I learned to love Clea more, I would say for sure.
Hmm.
I learned to understand and appreciate Luthen better. Still hate Saw Gerrera. Every time he comes in, I hate him more. Uh, basically, I loved every character. I gained a lot of empathy for the villains, particularly
Hmm.
Dedra and Cyril, because I think, like we talked about, Dedra and Cyril were the good guys in their own stories. So like
Yeah.
you're meant to kind of feel bad for them, but then when you think about where they are and what they're doing and what their project is, it's like, ugh, why do
It
I
was
feel bad for you?
it was almost like watching a Breaking Bad or Sopranos where you're following a villain
Hmm.
the whole time and you're like, "Yes, I'm rooting for you." And I shouldn't be rooting for you, but I am. Like I found myself getting a little upset when Dedra got, arrested.
Yeah, I
It's like,
was like,
"Oh, you
there's
guys."
no way.
Yeah.
Way. I
Yeah, way.
Edie Karn, I felt so bad for her.
Hmm.
And B2 emo. There was not enough B2 emo in this season.
Well, B2 Emo got to live out a happy life.
I know, charging in his pad, raising
I think.
Cassian Jr.
Do you do you think B2 Emo and K2SO would have liked each other?
I don't think at first, but I think they would have grown to love each other.
I I, I agree. I don't think they would have been good friends in the beginning.
No.
It's like a 3PO R2
Yes.
friendship, except
Kate
K2SO is definitely R2.
and maybe a little meaner. He'd have been
Yeah,
like,
he's like a shopper.
Cassie in this rectangle is talking to me. I don't
I
know.
met the I met the Emperor.
What did you think of the use of like Bix, for example? Did you think that were you happy with what happened with Bix?
I was. I really didn't like Bix in the beginning
Really?
in season one.
I hated her boyfriend, but I didn't mind
Yeah.
Bix.
I don't know. It felt like they were just putting Cassian at risk the whole time.
Yeah.
But I really grew to love Bix.
Yeah, and I love there's something about Cassian not making the choice to stay, but her making the choice
Hmm.
for him that I have mixed feelings on. But at the end of the day, I like that Bix was the one that made her choice. She knew Cassian never would have stayed, but I think Bix secretly believes in the Force a lot. And I think something with the Force healer resonated with her that was like, he needs to be here. I don't know why, but he
He is the
needs to be here.
messenger.
Yep. He is, in fact, the messenger.
Sp Speaking of Force healers, there wasn't too much Force in Andor, and I know for you as a Star Wars fan and viewer, and as your friend who's gotten to know you and your Star Wars views, the Force is a pretty big part of Joey's view of Star Wars. How did you enjoy? How this is gonna sound not. How did you feel about the lack of Force in Andor and the little bit that we did get?
Okay, so I hated the fact that there was no Force in season one, hated the fact that there was no lightsabers the first time I watched it. I
Hmm.
grew to understand and accept it. It's completely fine, and I was okay with it, which made, by the time we get to the Force Healer in season two,
Hmm.
that much better. I thought it was such
right?
an appropriate way for the show to include that central important element of Star Wars
Hmm.
and like show and like what I loved about it was that Cassian wasn't like Cassian didn't not believe it. I think he was spooked by it. I don't know if Marva like took him to Force Church or something, but I think he definitely was like, there's something spooky about this, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with the inclusion of the Force, and I think it was done in as tasteful and minimal of a way as was appropriate for Andor.
Yeah. Also, this may be the first Star Wars project where we did not hear "May the Force be with you."
No, no. Bale
Did
said, "May
we?
the Force be with you" to Cassian.
Oh, dang. Yeah, he did. Sorry, I was little annoyed at Bell at that point.
It's
My
true.
emotions were running high.
What did you think of the Bale recasting?
I thought it was necessary. Not necessary. It wasn't as bad as I initially thought it was going to be.
I thought he did a good job
Um, I think so too, and I love Jimmy Smits. But Benjamin Bratt did a great job,
in his stead.
and it was almost better because this way I don't have to associate this Bail Organa with the Jimmy Smits Bail Organa.
And we talked about in
Because this
our
one
review that he didn't play
annoyed
it with the
me,
tenderness of Jimmy Smits.
and I think that's fine. I think it also shows that he grew between Andor and you know A New Hope and Rogue One. It sounds like
With the five
that
minutes
he's like,
that there
okay,
was.
well, I feel like Cassian actually finding the plans kind of set Bail Organa back to the set the needle right.
Yeah. I just I thought it was I was scared. And I think this shows
Yeah,
that maybe we should be more comfortable with recasting and maybe a little less CGI over people's faces.
yeah, because
I'll they cast an actor that looks just like Luke Skywalker for The Mandalorian. And I think they're scared, and I would be too, to fully recast Luke Skywalker. But I think this shows, and maybe it's not as big a character as Luke Skywalker, but that he's good and like it can
and
be
it's almost
fine.
like and it's almost at this point it's like I hope they'd recast Luke Skywalker. I love Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill does not fit in the where we're seeing Luke Skywalker now. Just he's too old, unfortunately.
I mean, yes, and I think we don't need to belabor that point, but
Yeah,
just I think it was good.
I
What
agree.
other Andor questions you got for me? Anything else before we give our overall final thesis, please statements?
It's a tough one.
I have some
It's a
fun
tough one.
questions I want to throw your way before we're done, if that's okay.
Cool.
Yeah. All
What'd you
right.
think of the lack of fun creatures?
I thought that season two did a much better job. Now, in terms of aliens, there weren't like crazy giant animals like we'd see in some others, but
Well, there was
I
one.
I was very much so impressed with the way that they incorporated more aliens in season two.
Well, and I think this goes back to kind of what we discussed in season one that we wouldn't expect the Empire to use aliens, to see aliens working in the Empire. Whereas Rebellion, everybody's welcome,
And it seemed like
outside the Senate floor.
it even that though, it just seemed like more background characters. And maybe it was true that maybe there's not that many aliens that live on Coruscant. Or I'm so sorry,
Hmm.
live on Ferrix, but on Coruscant we see tons of different ones. But I
Yeah.
thought I thought they did a nice job of improving on all of my things that I didn't like. And not that obviously I'm not the center of Tony Gilroy's eye, but I think they just it got better and better as it went.
Hmm.
Um, Fun question time.
Let's do it.
Rapid fire. I don't want you to think too hard about it. And I'll provide my answer too. And I'm kind of coming up with this in the spot. Favorite new character introduced in Andor?
Pedra.
B2.
Mm.
That sounds about right. All right. Favorite new planet introduced in terms of like design in Andor?
Gorman.
Ferrix. All right. Um, no, we won't do that. Favorite, where in Andor? So you said Gorman, blah, blah, blah. Where in Andor do you want to visit? I know different than favorite planet. Like specifically, I want to go to that Gorman coffee shop when there's not a massacre happening there.
Yeah, no, that would be lovely. Oof. You
I
told me
know
not to
what
think about it.
I think your answer would be Luthen's Antiquity Shop.
I'd have time in there.
You
Not gonna
would.
lie.
You and Luthen would bond over history.
I know. Then he'd be playing me, and Clay would be judging me.
Clay would 100% be judging you. I think that's all I got for you. I overall, I just want to, I'll give my final thoughts, give yours, and then we'll wrap it up. I clearly, if you listen to our coverage, we rewatched Andor. You know, we had our thoughts going in, then we rewatched season one. I grew to really like it. And then
Hmm.
I fell in love with the show in season two. So I think overall, I had a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think this is amongst, and I don't like the term best. I don't think that's appropriate. I think everyone has a different perception of best. But I think this is among the strongest Star Wars that we've gotten ever.
Yes.
Particularly for me, the Mothma Senate escape. I was on the edge of my seat. I was planning on going to bed and watching it the next day. I watched all of it instantaneous. Like that whole arc was just
Hmm.
so good, and I just it left me with. I think one of the things I had said initially was, does it make me have the feeling that Star Wars makes me have? And I don't think it was meant to at that point, but I think it's meant to build you up to Cassian making those galaxy shaking decisions and choices and experiences. So
Yeah.
overall, I really really loved season 2. I liked season 1. So I think I might love the show. Would you say?
I think you're on the scale of like to love. I think you're closer to love.
I agree. And the my barometer for how much I love something is, do I have a Lego from it? And I did just procure the season 1 Lego. So I'll probably get
Yeah.
the season 2 one. I want Dedra, but I can get that on sale when it goes on sale.
Yeah.
And K2
Yeah.
comes in that one. All right, Dan, your
And
Andor
Kate, speaking
thoughts.
of K2 Lego, there's now a full K2 Lego that is popping back across my feed.
It's a shame your birthday already happened.
I know.
Christmas
It's
time, maybe.
okay. It's okay. I have an adult job. It could be a Tuesday.
You're the one that always convinces me to buy things. You're the one
I
that doesn't
know.
actually buy things.
I know. I know. I know.
All right. Give us your thoughts and we can bring our Andor coverage to a close.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed season one. I enjoyed season two a lot more than season one.
That makes me
I
happy to
was
hear.
pleasantly I was pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed the format as much as I did. I really thought I'd hate it. And I always try to go into a new anything without a preconceived notion because I was kind of taught growing up that we have to leave them behind. But yeah, I really like this format, and I don't think I'd want to see it again. Like
I think
that
that,
format.
yeah, and I think something that I hate that happens is the Star Wars fans are just so rough sometimes, and they want to take the keys to Star Wars metaphorical and throw them at Tony Gilroy. But if you remember back 5 years or so, they were throwing the keys at Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for The Mandalorian. And I don't think we need to
Hmm.
pit Star Wars against each other. I love that we can have Andor, we can have Ahsoka, we can have Rebels, we can have all this stuff, and different things resonate with everyone differently. But I just think the variety of Star Wars, and I think I said this either in this episode or in our, last review for the last arc, but Star Wars strength comes in its diversity, and I don't want every Star Wars to be like this, as gritty as down to
Hmm.
Ferrix, maybe not down to Earth, down to Ferrix. I don't think every Star Wars needs to be like that, but I think I'm so glad we got this,
Me too.
and I'd love to see something else like it, but not everything.
Right, right. We need a whimsical skeleton crew-esque show.
Yeah,
Maybe season two.
I cannot believe that this and Skeleton Crew were the back-to-back releases. So different.
Huge, but both of them heavy hitters.
It's true. And
Like in their own rights. In their own right. I'm not going to say Skeleton Crew had the same impact on the story as Star Wars
but
on Star
they
Wars as Andor
achieved
did.
either of them achieved what they were trying to. I think is the point.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, you all good for today?
Yes.
All right. Blue Shadow Podcast loves Andor. And if you loved Andor, please let us know. If you had anything else that you wanted to share with us about the series, about the season 2, please feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Consider giving us a follow or consider giving us a like, comment, subscribe, a review on YouTube or the podcast platform of your choice. Consider giving us a follow on Twitter, X at Blue Shadow Pod, or on Instagram at Blue Shadow Podcast. And with that, we thank you again, and we will see you next time.
One more thing before we go. Please stay tuned for our Rogue One rewatch.
Oh yeah,
Coming
recontextualized.
recontextualized Rogue One. A lot of ours. Coming soon.
Coming soon. All right, we'll see you next
Uh,
time.
See you next time.